So we are here with Diane Douglas. She was the superintendent of public education here in the state of Arizona until very recently. Diane, thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about what you experienced, Diane, in your role as supervisor of the public education system here in Arizona.
Well, it's kind of a misnomer, Alex, because really by law, what the superintendent actually does is oversee the Department of Education, which is a $10 billion operation here in Arizona. But what I was so disappointed to find out when I was elected to office was all of the policy-making authority laid elsewhere, either with the State Board of Education or with our locally elected school boards. But it really didn't have much impact. And sadly, I ran to repeal and replace Common Core. We got a technical repeal, but our governor, 2.5 months into my term, shut down the State Board of Ed and refused to allow them to replace it with standards that were classical education standards. We did get some stronger phonics instruction. We got some of the things fixed. We have our kids now supposedly memorizing their their arithmetic tables, reading, writing, cursive writing. We were the first state in the nation to put that back into our standards. We got rid of obscene literature. Unfortunately, as I left, we were working on social studies and science standards, and basically the teachers threw a revolt, and they kowtowed the State Board of Ed into basically accepting the C3 social studies standards and the next gen science standards. I was beat up for wanting students to just learn to question things like evolution, learn both sides of the argument. Well, we couldn't have that. No, I was called a lot of names, a lot of names in the media for that. And what I tried to do ultimately, because we weren't able to make the changes to Common Core and the social studies and science, as a, I hate to say parting shot, but kind of a parting shot, I tried to bring in the Hillsdale-Barney Charter School standards, and I couldn't even get a second from anyone on our state board to even discuss it.
Wow. And so, I think you have a national reputation now for your work in fighting Common Core. Would you give the viewers just a little bit of an inkling of what's wrong with Common Core? Why should anybody care about this? What is it doing to children?
Well, it's so far beyond Common Core that people think that Common Core is something that new that just came down the pike and it's impacting our children. This is a part of a 100-year or 150-year battle that's been going on for the souls of our children. And for John Dewey was very clear. His intent was to change our society and to make sure our children are and undereducated. It became so apparent to me when my own daughter went into school. She started in a school district, and to this day I thank God that K through 3 our district was Spalding Phonics and Saxon Math. Wow. So she got the basic foundation. And the first day she was in kindergarten that they started teaching phonics, I realized, oh my gosh, that's why I've struggled with reading all my life, because I was taught with Dick and Jane. Wow. And to this day, till the last dying breath I take, I will fight to get phonics in our schools.
Amen. That's so awesome. And I know now you're involved with U.S. Parents Involved in Education, a national group. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing now in the education field here in Arizona, and why you think that's one of the good ways to go forward.
Well, one of the biggest fights we're having here in Arizona, in my opinion, is the sexualization of our children. Our new superintendent is a Democrat, a very, very liberal Democrat, and in her campaign she said she was going to basically sexualize our children. We had what they called the no promo homo in the HIV/AIDS, and sadly I think our legislature and governor were more cooperative in that effort to repeal that than they were in repealing Common Core and getting better standards for our kids. And if our kids can't read, if they can't do basic arithmetic, they can't write, their future is closed. And I think that's part of what concerns the educrats the most, is because, quite frankly, if kids can read and do those basic skills, they don't ever need a teacher again. They can learn anything they want to for the rest of their lives. And I believe that's where we need to get our children. But this is just a tiny little piece of a global agenda, and I was told I was crazy for believing that, but I've been studying it for a very long time, and I I love this country. I don't exactly know why my grandparents came to this country, but I thank God every day they did. And I want my grandson to have that blessing. And I see it drifting away.
Amen. And so what can an average American do? So, say mom and dad, Joe Sixpack out there watching this, oh my goodness, we have a problem. What would you recommend that they do to get involved if they're concerned about these issues?
Well, one thing I would strongly recommend to them, giving you a free promo here, is get the New American, Rescuing Our Children, because what it took me years to learn, and many, many, many volumes of books, they can get the Reader's Digest version and understand what we are facing in a very real way and how far it goes back. It didn't start with Common Core or Goals 2000 or any of those. It's been going on. So understand the battle we're fighting, first and foremost. Then, if you keep your kids in school, I wish I had had the courage to homeschool my daughter, but I was chicken at the time, but maybe my grandson I'll be able to homeschool. If you can do that, I agree with you, get them in a private school, but the reality is 85% of our kids are still in traditional district schools. If we don't fight this battle, get on your school board, go to your school board meetings, and not just when your kid's getting the nice little football award or whatever it is. I don't mean to be derogatory. But the reality is they have to be there fighting tooth and nail. We don't trust. There's so many things in life we don't trust, but yet we'll trust anyone with our children.
Right.
And that breaks my heart.
Yeah. Well, Diane, thank you so much for everything you have done, everything you're doing, and everything that you will do on behalf of our children. We really appreciate it. Thank you, and God bless you.
God bless you as well for what you do. I hope we can keep working together and keep fighting this battle, because it is truly the battle of our lifetime.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Diane.
Pleasure.